The wind howled across the desolate plains of Kepler 452b, whipping crystalline sand against the reinforced dome of Outpost Harmony. Dr. Ezra Novak pressed his palm against the transparent barrier, watching the alien landscape shimmer with an ethereal blue-green light. Another night of complete isolation stretched before him. At 38, Ezra was no stranger to solitude. His quantum physics research had always demanded sacrifice, long nights, endless calculations, and a complete detachment from the familiar comforts of Earth. This research station, perched on the edge of humanity's known exploration, was his sanctuary in his prison. The quantum resonance sensors had been acting strange for weeks. Tiny fluctuations that most researchers would dismiss as background noise kept catching Ezra's attention. Something wasn't right. The data patterns were too precise, too intentional to be random. Arya, he called to the station's artificial intelligence, run another deep scan of Sector 7 Gamma. Cross-reference the quantum signature with our previous anomaly logs. The AI's holographic interface materialized, a soft blue projection that mimicked human form without trying to appear too lifelike. Scanning, Dr. Novak. Preliminary results show a 0.3% deviation from standard quantum background radiation. Ezra's fingers danced across the holographic display, pulling up intricate quantum wave diagrams. Most scientists would have overlooked such a minute variance, but to him, it was like a flashing beacon. Every significant scientific breakthrough began with noticing what others considered insignificant. The station's main research hall was a marvel of human engineering, sleek metal surfaces, advanced holographic interfaces, and equipment that represented decades of technological progression. Yet something felt different tonight. The air seemed to carry a subtle tension, like an electrical charge waiting to spark. A sudden burst of static erupted from the communication array. Ezra spun around, his heart racing. The noise wasn't random, it carried a pattern, a rhythm that suggested intentionality. Arya, isolate and analyze that signal, he commanded, moving quickly to the communication console. The AI's voice remained calm. Signal contains complex quantum encoding. Origin cannot be determined using current parameters. Ezra's mind raced. In all his years of research, he had never encountered a signal quite like this. The quantum signature was unlike anything in human or known alien communication databases. It was almost as if the signal was trying to communicate through the very fabric of spacetime itself. Hours passed as he worked, decoding tiny fragments of the mysterious transmission. Each decoded segment revealed nothing and everything, mathematical sequences that seemed to hint at a language beyond human comprehension, yet structured with an unmistakable intelligence. As dawn broke over Kepler 452b's twin suns, casting long shadows across the alien landscape, Ezra realized he was on the precipice of something extraordinary. This wasn't just a random signal. It was a message, waiting to be understood. Prepare full quantum analysis protocols, he instructed Arya. We're going to crack this code. Little did Dr. Ezra Novak know that his discovery would soon entangle him in a cosmic mystery that would challenge everything humanity understood about communication, technology, and their place in the universe. The quantum resonance was just the beginning. The excavation site on Proxima Centauri b was nothing like the sterile research stations Arya Solarin was accustomed to. Red dust coated everything, her protective gear, the advanced scanning equipment, even the molecular sealant on her rover's exterior. 6 months into the archaeological expedition, and the planet continued to surprise her. Arya adjusted her neural interface, scanning the geological layers revealed by the quantum-penetrating ground radar. Something was different about this site. The stratification didn't match any known planetary formation patterns. Each layer told a story, but this story seemed to be written in a language she couldn't quite decipher. Dr. Solarin called her assistant, Marcos, "You're going to want to see this." She approached the newly exposed section of the excavation site. The ground had shifted overnight, revealing a smooth surface that seemed too perfect to be natural. Geometric patterns etched into what appeared to be some form of metallic alloy glinted beneath the harsh red sunlight. "Run a full spectral analysis," Arya instructed, her voice tight with excitement. 20 years of xenoarchaeological research had taught her to control her emotions, but this discovery was different. The scanner hummed to life, its quantum resonance technology penetrating layers of rock and metal. Marcos whistled softly. "These energy signatures. They're unlike anything in our databases." Arya's mind raced back to the anomalous research papers she'd studied, fringe theories about quantum communication that most of her colleagues had dismissed as academic fantasy. The patterns emerging from the ground seemed to pulse with a deliberate rhythm, almost like a heartbeat. A sudden transmission crackled through her communication system. At first, it sounded like static, but as Arya fine-tuned the receiver, a pattern emerged. Fragments of a signal, mathematical, precise, yet utterly alien. Cross-reference with the Novak quantum signal database, she muttered, referring to the groundbreaking work of Dr. Ezra Novak that had been circulating through scientific circles. The computer processed for several minutes. Then, a match. Not a complete translation, but enough to confirm something extraordinary: this was no natural phenomenon. Someone, or something, had left a message. As the excavation continued, more of the metallic surface was revealed. It wasn't a structure in the traditional sense. Instead, it appeared to be a massive quantum data storage device, preserved for what could be millennia. "We need to establish a containment field," Arya told Marcos. "Whatever this is, it's too important to risk contamination." The next hours were a blur of careful extraction and analysis. Arya worked with a precision born of years of experience, her hands steady despite the magnitude of their discovery. Each layer revealed more complexity, quantum encryption that seemed to shift and change as they studied it. By nightfall, a clearer picture began to emerge. This wasn't just a storage device. It was a message, a warning, perhaps, or an invitation. The quantum signatures suggested a civilization far more advanced than anything humanity had ever encountered. As the twin moons of Proxima Centauri B rose over the excavation site, Arya realized they were on the brink of something monumental. The signal Dr. Novak had discovered, the patterns she was now uncovering, they were pieces of a cosmic puzzle. "Prepare full transmission protocols," she instructed Marcos. "We're going to decode this message, no matter what it takes." Little did she know, the message was already reaching out, not just to them, but to someone else entirely. The quantum threads were connecting, weaving a narrative that stretched across the vast emptiness of space. The echoes of a forgotten civilization were about to be heard. The observation deck of the ISV Horizon stretched before Marcus Reyes like an infinite canvas of darkness and possibility. Starlight shimmered against the ship's quantum-shielded windows, a testament to humanity's most ambitious interstellar exploration mission. At 42, Marcus had spent the last decade pushing the boundaries of human exploration. As lead navigator and quantum systems specialist, he'd mapped more uncharted star systems than any human in history. But something about this particular mission felt different, a tension that hummed just beneath the surface of reality. "Quantum drift increasing," announced Nova, the ship's advanced artificial intelligence. "Detecting non-standard spacetime fluctuations in Sector 9 Delta." Marcus leaned forward, his augmented neural interface lighting up with a cascade of data. The fluctuations weren't random. They carried a signature he'd seen before, fragments of the mysterious quantum signal that had been haunting research stations across human-explored space. "Nova, overlay the signal pattern with our previous encounter logs," he commanded, fingers dancing across the holographic interface. The ship's main display transformed, showing intricate quantum wave patterns that seemed to pulse with an almost organic rhythm. Each intersection point told a story, a complex narrative of communication that transcended traditional understanding of language and signal transmission. A soft alarm broke his concentration. The Horizon's quantum drive was responding to something outside standard operational parameters. Marcus had seen quantum anomalies before, but this was different. The space-time around them seemed to be breathing. "Prepare quantum stabilization protocols," he said, his voice calm despite the growing excitement. "We're approaching something extraordinary." The ship's external sensors began to detect an unusual energy signature. It wasn't a star, not a planet, not any known celestial body. Instead, it appeared to be a massive quantum resonance field, a region of space where the fundamental laws of physics seemed to bend and twist. "Nova, run a full spectral analysis," Marcus instructed. "Compare against the Novak-Solarin Quantum Communication Index." The AI processed for several moments. Then, a breakthrough. Correlation confirmed. Signal matches 87.3% with quantum transmission discovered by Dr. Ezra Novak at Outpost Harmony. Partial match with archaeological findings from Dr. Arya Solarin's Proxima Centauri excavation. Marcus felt a chill run down his spine. What had seemed like isolated incidents were now forming a pattern, a cosmic breadcrumb trail of communication. The quantum field began to shift. What appeared to be empty space started to ripple, like water disturbed by an unseen hand. Holographic displays erupted with data, mathematical sequences, energy patterns, and fragments of what could only be described as a language beyond human comprehension. "Initiate first contact communication protocols," Marcus said, his heart racing. This was more than just a scientific discovery. This was first contact. The ship's quantum communicator began to pulse, sending out carefully calibrated response signals. It was a dance of mathematics and possibility, a conversation conducted in the language of fundamental physics. Something was trying to communicate. And humanity was about to listen. As the quantum field intensified, Marcus realized they were witnessing something unprecedented. The boundaries between known and unknown were blurring. Whatever was out there had been waiting, watching, for someone to understand its message. The horizon trembled. Not from any physical force, but from the sheer potential of what was about to unfold. First contact was no longer a question of if, but when. And Marcus Reyes was going to make sure humanity was ready. The quantum communications lab of the research vessel Nexus was a symphony of controlled chaos. Dr. Kira Nakamura stood at the epicenter, her fingers moving with surgical precision across holographic interfaces that seemed to dance with living light. "Incoming quantum packet," announced the lab's AI system. "Transmission origin, unidentified." Kira's eyes narrowed. In the 3 weeks since the mysterious signals had first appeared, she had become obsessed with decoding their intricate patterns. The transmissions defied every known communication protocol. They weren't just messages, they were living mathematical constructs that seemed to evolve with each interaction. She pulled up the latest data streams from Dr. Ezra Novak's research station, the archaeological findings of Dr. Arya Solarin, and the quantum anomalies recorded by navigator Marcus Reyes. Each source was a thread in an increasingly complex tapestry. "Isolate the core quantum signature," Kira muttered, her neural interface humming with concentrated effort. The signal was more than information, it was a language, a living system of communication that transcended traditional understanding. A breakthrough flickered across her screens. The quantum packets weren't random. They were a complex conversation, fragments of a message that had been traveling across light years, waiting to be understood. Suddenly, the lab's temperature dropped. The holographic displays flickered, then stabilized with a pattern that made Kira's breath catch in her throat. It wasn't just data. It was a map. Star systems previously thought to be empty began to light up, each one connected by quantum threads that pulsed with an underlying intelligence. What had seemed like isolated signals were actually a massive, interconnected network. "Run quantum correlation analysis," she commanded the AI. "Compare against all known stellar cartography." The results were impossible. The map suggested the existence of a civilization that had mastered quantum communication on a galactic scale. Not just communication, something more. A network that treated space and time like malleable clay. A transmission burst through, unlike anything she had seen before. Mathematical sequences that seemed to breathe, to live. They were more than numbers. They were a message. Warning. Preparation. Convergence. Kira's hands moved faster than thought, capturing every quantum flutter, every microscopic variation. This was more than a scientific discovery. This was a cosmic invitation, or perhaps a desperate plea. The quantum threads began to pulse in a rhythm that suggested urgency. Something was coming. Something that had been waiting, watching, for humanity to reach this precise moment of understanding. As the last pieces of the quantum puzzle began to align, Kira Nakamura realized they were standing at the precipice of the greatest discovery in human history. First contact was no longer a distant possibility. It was happening now.